Hello.
So, how was your week?
It was not so but so.
I mean, what's it like where you're at? Because everything is.
Well, I
different.
live in I live in a suburb of Milwaukee, and basically I'm not so far from like my work, and thankfully, basically like Monday or Tuesday of this week, our governor Tony Evers, he said like only people in like essential industries, and thankfully that includes my industry of title insurance, because we work with banks and lenders and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
We're allowed to stay open and like do stuff. We're not completely shut down. So
Okay.
like, people like realtors, appraisers, and stuff like that, we're still expected to do stuff. But
Are you out and about doing stuff, or are you home?
Oh,
on a computer?
well, I actually go to my office.
Oh,
so.
good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, are people listening? Is traffic getting more or less?
Traffic is pretty less. It's in the morning. It's a lot better. I love driving to work now. Even though when I was driving back from work, it's like, holy cow, people are like, are like really insane people.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like that. But besides that, it's it's noticeably less.
Yeah. Now here too, it's but it started out really less here, and I don't know, as this week's gone on now. Today was the most traffic out I saw, and people are finally starting to come out of their houses and talk to each other. And walk their dogs, and I mean, there's been sporadic people here and there, but today seems people kind of, because it was beautiful here today, the weather. And,
what was the weather like?
Blue skies, no spray, sun. Because they did us one sunny day, and then we had the misty, white-skied rain yesterday, and then today we get another sunny day. But today was really extra springy out. And I drove to my nature trail, and I couldn't believe the amount of cars there. It was just packed with people, because people have been staying home. I mean, and I normally love having my nature trail to myself, but I just, I don't know. I'm glad to see people out and, being normal, saying hello, stopping, talking, throwing a Frisbee. It's just nice. Because, if you put the stupid TV on, it feels like everybody's sitting at home cowering. And don't get me wrong, if you go to the stores, they got fucking yellow painted lines or red painted lines for the 6 feet social distance shit.
Oh, we don't have that.
Oh, no?
The Target that I go to.
Oh, no, yeah, that's everywhere. One store goes all the way outside, like on the freaking sidewalk. I'm like, and there's nobody in line. Like, it's not like you have to wait and people are just kind of milling about, but I guess they leave it up to, whether the employees are insane or not, because, and I don't mean that in a mean way, but I really just want to.
No, it's okay. I know what you mean.
People that don't get.
How anal.
Yeah. You're serving food, you're making food, you know what I mean? So if this was some pandemic spreading like wildfire, wearing gloves and stuff, or only going to the drive-thru or whatever, delivery, it wouldn't matter. You'd be spreading the germs. You know what I mean? People just really can't put two and two together, but they're starting to, and it feels good. You know what I mean? But, you do have your one or two crazies that are walking around in a mask and looking at everybody, and you know what I mean? And some work people, like I said, when they work with food, and I guess, I get it, but I don't know. I know other places are crazier, so, I wonder how Sarah's doing down there.
Well, I think she's under the weather. It's like, how did she put it? Basically, she's been like having to sleep a lot, and she's like, basically she like just feels shitty.
Yeah.
So to put it very succinctly.
Yeah. Do you find yourself getting real tired at night? Because I do, real tired at night.
Sort of depends. Like right now, I'm not tired per se. Like when I'm thankfully we're really busy at work. I'm very, very glad about that. So I get tired then, but like for example, like this afternoon, I told you I was antsy. I was like really, really antsy. I was like, you know, like fidgety and everything. I mean, like super ADD. And
right.
and then when I got home, I was like, it's a lot better. So I don't know. It's just.
Yeah. Well, the waiting and the not knowing and everything, it's starting to get, I mean, you know, I know what I said to you. I know what you're saying because I felt that way kind of yesterday. I just kind of couldn't. I don't say couldn't sit still. Just didn't. I just kind of kept walking around and I wanted to keep going out and. You know, I get it, you know, because, look, we're not made to sit in a box and not interact with each other. And, you know, I mean, look at our whole world. It's about being with each other. So they know what they're doing, this psychological game here. And, you know, people are looking at this, like, because don't get me wrong, I'm well aware that, you know, even though I'm seeing people, that most people are watching this TV 24/7 with their, you know, horrifying numbers and deathly ventilators they need everywhere, and you know what I mean. You know, and again, I don't knock that people aren't getting sick from whatever flu may be going around, and people with compromised immune systems and you know different ailments like pneumonia and this and that aren't just as in danger as they are every damn year from the flu. Your government doesn't stop the whole world for them. So take a minute and think maybe something else is going on here. And of course it is, you know, we know this, you know, whole thing, for, you know, how many years now, but as far as the moving parts now, they've nationalized tons of industries, businesses, you know, the Fed's buying everything. It's just a complete nationalization of everything with the Defense Production Act and, you know, all this stuff. It's just a whole new government now, and people really don't realize it yet. And, you know, the helicopter checks and money and all that stuff, they'll give it out now, but eventually, oh, did you get your vaccine? You don't get your check. Like, you know, it just, if people can get it before it all really begins, maybe we won't all, you know, be in the streets stoning each other. because I get, you know, I look at history and that's what they do. They turn us against each other, and it's really easy to, oh, you didn't get the vaccine. You're the reason germs are spreading. You're not wearing a mask, you know, and just ostracize people.
Well, but the thing is also, I mean, like, if you're on Twitter and you follow a lot of people, like, I follow all sorts of people on Twitter, like, you know, like MAGA people, I mean,
different
liberal
kinds.
people, I mean, like, you know, woo-woo people, you know, like, you know, wrestling fans.
Yeah, sure.
You know, nerds, you know, just all sorts of people. And I like that. And so I get all sorts of different viewpoints. And frankly, like, I mean, I haven't like looked all the time, but like, I haven't seen like a shit ton of people on my feed, thankfully, saying like, oh, you have to get vaccines, but you know, like, you know, like, of course, I'm not purposely following that, you know, pro-vaccine.
Right.
So that helped.
But you'd think you'd see it, you know, you'd get attacked or, you know, things like that. It's not happening.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I don't retweet it all the time, but like, I retweet like stuff about vaccines. I share stuff on vaccines, you know, nanotech and vaccines, things like that, you know, smart dust, things like that. You know.
Yeah, I mean, our crowd does kind of get that, you know, so, I mean, like I said, I see and know people that are completely caught up in this whole thing, and will never, like Sara said last week, without, you know, the comprehension of the whole picture, will never just swallow that pill, you know, because it is so big. But, you know, David Icke's been doing some fabulous interviews talking about this.
He has. I haven't like listened to them yet because I've just been so busy, but like I've been sharing them on my blog. So, and I've been seeing he's been doing a lot. So I'm really glad to see that.
The one he did with
London Real, is that? Did
on
he do
London
one
Real?
recently? Yeah, I think he did one recently there.
Yeah, with Brien Rose at 1 million views in 24 hours. You know, but I noticed that the clips were going around from that. But David Icke posted the full 2-hour interview on his website, and when you try to click on it and take it out of his website, it wouldn't let you. Then when you try to look it up by link, it literally put, we're not allowed to write or tell you what this link is. So I knew what it was, so I clicked it, and it's unlisted. All of a sudden, that full interview went unlisted, but it's still there. I put it out too on my YouTube channel. So I would suggest the whole 2-hour video to people because, this is a guy that's been talking about this for 30 years. Get the big picture, Mm-hmm. And he can explain it very succinctly and calmly and intelligently, unlike me, who kind of gets like, it's fucking ridiculous, you know what I mean? Like
you get really passionate about it.
I do, he's very easy to follow, and it's not just him, I mean, Greg Mannarino's pointing out everything going on economically, and so are many others, and then the crowd I get disappointed with are the ones that are still trusting the plan and think that this is taking down the cabal and we need to be on martial law and this is for our own good and don't worry about it. Like, people can't see the rights that are being taken away and the laws that are trying to be brought in. And, sorry, guys, trading freedoms for that is not part of taking down the cabal. I'm sorry. You got to open your eyes,
Exactly. And like in my area, like, I mean, I noticed police cars. I mean, I don't notice like a whole bunch of more police cars, at least in my area. Of course, I live in suburbia. Mm-hmm. So it's not like I'm in like Milwaukee.
Right.
Like the north side of Milwaukee where you might see a lot more cop cars.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because that's more the poor, African-American neighborhood, so they try to, in general.
Yeah, it's busier,
not trying to stereotype.
Put them over there.
They
anyway,
tend
right.
to, yeah.
They police the area more.
Yeah, they.
Oh, I get it. It's a joke what they do. Well, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's okay. And I haven't seen a whole ton of police cars, to be honest. So I don't like on Sunday I walked to my local Target, which isn't that far away. I mean, I don't know. It might be maybe a mile away. Mm-hmm. And then I came back and my legs are saying, you need to do this more because it was. I need to do more walking.
But it's good walking. Walking is nice now. It's like it's a good thing to go do now. You want to because we're all stuck inside. Might as well walk, ride your bike. I don't know. I know a lot of people can't, and they don't have, but there's parks and stuff in everyone's area, no matter where you live. Just go to it, go to it. I mean, I don't see a lot of cops, to be honest. I'm used to, I kind of live in a suburban rural area outside, Atlantic City myself. So I know, like you said, the town is a hell of a lot busier than it is out here as far as police presence-wise. But there's always, you see them sitting around running radar, and I don't see nobody, man. I haven't seen anybody out doing, even driving around, as far as police cars, here and there, occasionally. But I mean, who knows what they're doing? They could be at stores, like you just don't know, since we're all kind of stuck in at night, what's really going on out there, and.
I was at a few stores this weekend, and I didn't see a lot of like security / police. Mm-hmm. So, and I know this like is kind of like off topic, on topic type thing. But do you guys have toilet paper where you guys are at?
I mean, not really. That's one of the things that is difficult to get. I don't even know if it's something I never like. We buy it whatever every 2 weeks, and whatever's there is there. So we never did that whole toilet paper thing like everybody.
Neither did I. I mean, but it's like and obviously, like if. Worst comes to worst, people can use coffee filters and stuff like that.
Yeah, or paper towels, and all things we did, like when we had our ass wiped when we were babies. We got through it. You know what I mean? Like it can be done.
Yes, you did.
But as far as that's the only thing really kind of missing in stores. Like I actually went shopping with my wife the other day just to do something, and there's not a lot of people, but there's a lot of food for now. Certain foods are not being restocked. I noticed ice cream. For some reason was, so I don't know if certain trucks aren't running, but for the most part, it's not chaos food wise yet, I mean, look, do you feel like it's slowed down a little bit?
I think it's slowed down a bit. I mean, I haven't really gone grocery shopping since like Sunday-ish. Mm-hmm. But like the stores, they've been limiting, like, well, obviously like hand sanitizer and things like that. But
waters,
like waters, yeah.
Rice,
pasta, soup. Mm. They weren't like limiting in Spam or like canned meats. I've noticed.
Yeah, and they have plenty of it, right? Is there plenty of it?
Well, there's a lot of canned like chicken. People like were really digging into the Spam.
Right. Yeah. Well, at some point you just got to grab whatever will last, and you know what I mean. You don't know when you're going to need it.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know.
Right.
I can't wait in big long lines. I'd almost rather starve to death than wait in these big long lines with all these crazy people for food. So I'm glad it's calming down because at least it is here. It feels like it. Could be the calm before the storm, as everyone likes to throw that term around, like, Trump and shit. Who knows? Calm before the storm, but I don't know. I just, I would think that, and again, this could be all other areas like New York, from what I understand, 2 hours up the road is, under siege with martial law. I don't know if that's true or not. Everyone says it on the internet, but I have no proof of that.
Well, there's this gal on Twitter, like her name is like Starheel. Like she's an astrologer, and she was like in New York, and she mentioned that she wanted to get out like earlier this week, and I don't know if she has. So like New York City. So I don't know if she actually was able to get out, but that's the only person I remember. At least in my feed.
Right.
I mean, granted, I wasn't like actively like searching.
No, right. And now that you say that, I stumbled into one that you and I will actually both know. Do you follow Brien Foerster, the researcher?
Yeah. What was he saying?
Well, check this out. This is really weird. He was just in Egypt doing his tours, and he was doing live feeds, and I was watching them, and all of a sudden this all started, and he did a few more days, and then he had to fly out, and I know all this because he put it all on the internet, he did live YouTube feeds explaining, so he had to fly from like out of Egypt. The only place he could get to was JFK. He lives in Peru, So he flies into JFK and he starts filming the streets and showing how dead it is. And he apparently, according to what he was saying, just kind of made it out of there. And he's got relatives that live in Jersey. So he's walking in neighborhoods and doing like live feeds or just uploading videos, just doing some talking. And I'm looking at the neighborhood, and don't worry, I won't dox him or give up his location, but I'm looking and I'm like, he's in the neighborhood I grew up in, 10 minutes down the fucking road from here. I'm like, you got to be shitting me. Like, I'm looking at, and usually I see shit like that, and my wife's like, you're wrong, So I took it to my wife. I'm like, is that the golf course across from the house I grew up in? And she's looking, she's like, yeah, there's your, because I don't live there anymore. When I moved here when I was 15, that's the house I lived in, and my parents lived there.
Oh, here it is. Unexpected detour my way back to Peru.
Yeah, if you look at those videos, that's
okay. 4 hours ago. Okay,
he walks by my high school bus stop, and he's, you know what I mean? And I'm like, wow, I was just watching this guy in Egypt, and now he's walking around 10 minutes from the house. So I certainly would hope to bump into him while he's doing a walk and talk, because I drive, my kids go to school over there, and like, it's not like it's a place I don't go. But yeah. I thought that was pretty cool, So,
that's really neat.
Yeah, I mean, it's of all people. I know he's trying to get out of here, and he said today he's stuck till like April 10th or something until he can get a flight, So I guess all your schools are closed till the 20th, like everyone else, April 20th.
Yeah, I think pretty much like UW-Madison is like closed for the rest of the year or something like that.
The whole year?
In general, yeah. I think, and I don't know when the public schools are, if they are. I'm assuming they won't. Yeah.
Yeah, they're kind of telling us April 20th, but, once those dates, of course, we know those dates, 19th, 20th are ugly dates to even worry about to begin with. I have a feeling something's going to occur there that's going to prolong us not having the rest of the school year finished, I could be wrong. What the hell do I know? But, I just think it's an interesting date they're picking,
It's a possibility. I mean, like I follow Leo King, and in general, like I don't write down notes and stuff,
right?
About like this is conjuncting this, like I just follow for the general gist and stuff,
right?
And like he basically it's kind of a weird mix. Like the energy is intense, but at the same time, like if people look beyond what's happening right in front of their faces and like go creative and stay positive and everything, in spite of it brings amazing things to people. That's the general gist, and he's not like all like woo woo, he doesn't blow smoke off people's asses, and he's very.
No, well, I would
he
agree.
He tells it like it is. That's why I like him.
Yeah.
He's like the Mark Passio of astrology.
Right.
He doesn't bullshit you.
And I would think that that's true anyway. The positive things can come of this. It's just we're at a choice point. It depends what people decide to do, and we don't need to run the streets in a revolution. We just need to realize this is bullshit and not feed into it. Just like everything, and not turn on each other, and not, like to start to realize this is just nonsense, and again. Speaking of Mark, realize, like we said, the time of the season that we're in, and they love certain dates, and April 19th and 20th, as Mark points out, are one of them. And so if anything occurs, have your thinking cap on. Don't react emotionally and panic and fear, because David Icke's pointed it out, there are a lot of people who didn't see what this was before are now seeing it. Is it the amount we want? No, but it's more because, like I said, the neighbors are coming out, even my neighbor, we started talking, and, of course, right out of my mouth, I'm like, this is no pandemic, and again, my wife works in a hospital, and, they got flu patients and stuff. It's busy like it always is, but nothing, that deems pandemic. They don't have certain equipment, which seems like that shortage occurred on a timely fashion all over the country,
coincidence.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Just so, we got all the Ford companies now making masks and ventilators, and, again, really how much you got to realize, and I know you do, but people listening, when has your government stopped the world to take care of the elderly after all the illnesses and all the things that's been going on for years? With diseases and medicine and, all the ways that pensioners are discarded, and, they hope that they, hurry up and expire. Yeah. And they put as much stress on the immune system as possible, and, for them. So, they're not stopping trillion-dollar businesses to assist and, walk people handicap across the street into ventilators. It's not what Trump's doing, and you got Pompeo up there and Steve Mnuchin and all these criminals talking to the American public. Don't you realize these fucking people are all scumbags? Like, every word out of their mouth has been just lies for it. Now you think they care about you? There must be a hidden agenda, and it's not very hidden. So all you got to do is look, So if we come together, like you said, Lisa, and realize it, talk to each other, not let them take from us what they are trying to take from us, through fear, I believe you're right. I believe this can take a big turn for the positive, but,
Yeah, I agree. And in my experience, people have been calm, around me, no one has been just
get away
overwrought. I live in an apartment building, and they put up stuff about wash your hand, stuff like that.
Right.
Right. And that's fine. I have no problem with that. Whatever.
Well, that's my wife anyway. My wife works in a hospital. I get it 24/7 anyway from her. So, she's always with the
But when I go to the store, when I go to my local health store and Target or whatever, people aren't oh my God, it's been very orderly, not it's not noisy here. It's very quiet.
Yeah.
It's not thank God.
People are basically friendly, they're holding doors and saying hello. I don't know. At least that's how it is here.
Yeah. The place where I drop off our FedEx, it's they have okay, no more than 10 people in the store, and there's usually not.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually me and the 3 employees or whatever, and then I just I say hi, and then I drop it off, and then I go. It's and that's where they have the tape for the 6 feet apart. But that's rare that and I haven't felt an undercurrent of fear or oppression, or it's we're just here, and we're just here. I see people outside walking their dogs, from time to time. So it's not like
a ghost town or anything.
Yeah, right. I'm not getting. People. I went through with the car wash. We have limited hours, but it's not we don't have a curfew. I mean, they did shut down the mall, except for like, the food stuff there, not the food court, but just the outside restaurants,
right.
for carry on stuff. But it's not like open. I don't know. It's definitely weird and definitely noticeable, but it's not like
right.
Like,
well, it's one
tanks in the streets, you know what I mean?
Right, and
it's not that.
Definitely a sinister, people meet in malls and restaurants and bars and movies, and they talk, so you find if you talk to people and a little bit of common sense, like my buddy and I did that one trip out, and people kind of start to realize it, and I think they don't want that. They don't want people kind of coming to their common sense, reality, and they don't want people, gathering in groups and changing each other's minds and assuring each other this is noise, and the ultimate goal we know, screen between everybody, clouds and attachments to AI and all that shit. So these are all moves towards that they already did bring up the digital currency, no cash. Oh, there'll be germs and all the cash they're trying to talk about. I mean, not around here, people are still taking cash, but around the world, I know David Icke was saying in Britain, he was refused 3 places. They refused his cash. And, so, I think the fact that they can shut down the whole world should tell people something. And then the same things go on everywhere. Like, just turn that damn thing off and just, like you said, if we all start to go back to normal life, like the small businesses, go open your damn business. Go open. Who cares if you're not essential? Open. If everyone does it, what the hell was that?
It's like a notice, but it's on my end.
It was mine.
It sounded like on your end.
Yeah, and it was really, really loud. It's like, whoa.
It's okay. It's just a normal, Windows 10 notification. Yeah. It's okay, man.
Yeah, no, I know. Right? I didn't get zapped out of my... No, it just was loud in my ears.
It's okay. It's okay. The clickies aren't here, so it's fine. Well,
yeah,
they might be, but I don't hear.
How about that last week? That was messed up, That was a lot of clickies last time.
Well,
on my end, I mean, it was my internet connection.
Yeah, that's weird. They usually get me, or they usually don't do that with Sara, but it's usually me. It's like,
And it took me forever to sign on that day too. So maybe I had a bad internet connection. Who knows? You know what I mean? It's them. They don't want to say it's them. You know what I mean? This could never just actually be a bad internet connection.
Well, actually, this will make you laugh because our fine friends at Google or whoever, they're so bored. I have an app on my phone which sets a range or a limit to the volume. Mm-hmm. And I purposely did that because for months and stuff, on and off, they would fuck up my volume. And I've mentioned this a bit before. And I was playing Final Fantasy VI on my cell phone,
right?
For lunch, it helps me, unwind and stuff.
Right.
And because my hands are nowhere near the volume button at all. Mm-hmm. So, it's just me touching the screen, moving the characters and stuff. So,
right, where the volume button would be, exactly,
Yeah, and it's already set, so it's like, why the fuck would I need to mess with it? Mm-hmm. And I noticed they're trying to, mess with it, because the volume bar would suddenly pop up, 6 or 7 times. I was like, okay, I'm just laughing.
Well, what was that today?
It was today. It's not the only time that they've done that.
Well, I mean, I wonder if a lot of weird shit, because I had on my YouTube app, all of my notifications were blank. And then it said to me, turn on your notifications. And, I don't want my notifications blinging every time somebody does a fucking YouTube video. You know what I mean? I follow 800 people. Yeah, I don't want that. So, but it wouldn't let me. I went in and turned them on. It still didn't appear. And then I turned it off, and then it did. It was messing. I had to end up leaving it on to get it to. So I do wonder if they're playing around before the next round of censorship. And, who knows, but I do find that weird, that even if it just takes on a life of its own and turns up your damn music, that's weird.
Well, it's weird, but they've done it. I mean, they've done it it's not it didn't start lasst year. It started maybe 2018 or so for me. So it's not a new thing.
Right.
So even before I really did this stuff with you guys. It's not like, oh, it's because they're doing this, that's happened. It's like,
yeah, well,
but it's like, and people's like, oh, they told us. I was like, okay, right.
It's definitely suspicious, because that's when a lot of people started getting problems with stuff, 2018.
Yeah, and it's so funny because like I share a lot of I share stuff from like humansarefree.com and like even when I have like my normal data plan and it's supposedly on the fast, like my first 2 gigabytes are like the fastest, and then after that it's slower. It's just part of my plan or whatever. I really don't care.
Right.
But basically, even with that, like I've noticed like it's slower than it used to be.
Yeah,
I've noticed that.
I've noticed mine slow too. I've noticed that too. That it's gotten slower, and I kind of write it off as slowing things down so that we want that 5G. Exactly.
Nope.
I saw Ryan did a show yesterday for the Last American Vagabond that some kind of bill was passed over about 5G this week that they're sneaking through, because, we got time to do that shit. Pandemic going on, but let's get a 5G bill done. That makes fucking sense. They love us. They love us, everyone. Please keep voting. Yeah.
That's
retarded. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, 100% on what you said. You are right.
Sorry, I went into my
You went rancy.
Mr. Hyde.
You went rancy.
I went
it's
to
okay.
Mr. Hyde.
You went to. It's okay, dude.
Trying to stay Dr. Jekyll. But it does. That's why I said to you earlier, like my moods can just, when I see something stupid, I can find myself going, "Jeez," you know what I mean? Like, and then I can just kind of
Jesus H. Roosevelt Christ.
Yeah, and then
I can just kind
of remind myself, all right, people are stupid, they're dumb animals. Just relax, no reason to get upset. This is who they are. You know what I mean? I have to remind myself because it's
it's not who we are. It's what we've been mind controlled and programmed to be.
Right. Exactly.
But let's be a little bit more clear.
You're certainly right. You know what I mean. But whatever I need to do to calm myself down at that moment is what I do. So whatever comes out. But I knew what I would have meant when I was saying it to myself. But you're definitely right. I don't mean it in a. But look, this is what behavior makes me crazy because that's not who we are. And when I see that, it because I've definitely seen people, Lisa, with masks, almost wrapped in bubble wrap, masks and, gloves and opening the door with their elbows and, Purell. And people at the one convenience store that I go to, somebody ran off with the free Purell at the register. Somebody fucking took and ran off. And all of a sudden the guy that works there, because I know everybody and he's like, "Tom, is the Purell sitting over there?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "Somebody fucking ran off with the Purell." I'm like, Jesus, like, come on. Like, it's, I don't know, dumb stuff, that kind of makes you go, oh my God. But, somebody said too, and I forget who it was. Maybe it was David Icke, because he's been doing so many, that the silent majority, is silent until it has something to say. And maybe I'm hoping that the silent majority more gets this than does not get this, because it's so obvious. It's so obvious that this is not a pandemic, even if it's a flu outbreak. It's just, not something that your government would go, "Wait a minute, everything stop. Save the people." You know what I mean? Meanwhile, they're bombing countries, killing kids, raping kids, human trafficking. You know what I mean?
Adrenochrome drinking.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But, let's get the orange face guy up there telling
bikers.
You. Yeah, right. I'm sorry.
Mother truckers.
It's true. And people got to remember who these people are and what they represent. They represent control, fear. And if you don't fear them,
inversion, evil, depopulation.
If people don't fear it, it can't control you, And like you said, knowing all the inversion of who we really are is what they're trying to make you afraid with. Well, it's not who we are. So they're afraid of us. Look at all the shit they got to do to keep us down. you know?
Or even the stupid shit, like, I'm so bored. Like, I'm gonna mess with Lisa's fucking volume where she's like, like going on the veldt and just like trying to get money before she goes to the next town. That's gonna really show her.
I mean, I often really think they just kind of have algorithms that just hit us randomly whenever we're saying certain buzzwords, or doing things that, you're trying to relax, that you were trying to relax. You know what I mean?
But it's funny because they don't do it every single day.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I've been doing it a lot for lunch, during my lunch. They don't do it every single day. So, if they would have the algorithm that they would do it every single day, then that would work.
Well, unless you picked up on that you were antsy today, like you said,
But that was before. But that's true. But that was before I was feeling antsy.
Oh,
and
gotcha.
It was like more like 2:00-ish on.
Well,
really,
there could also be things going on in the atmosphere that we don't know about from nearby. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So that just interrupt what we're doing, and it's still just as disastrous and deadly of using all these frequencies. Carol did a video today, in fact, showing they're pummeling the South with low frequencies. It's just so it's definitely electromagnetically. Part of the problem, whatever's going on, I think.
It is. No, there's a lot of great videos out about like 5G and the whole Corona stuff. I mean,
yeah.
And John, I haven't watched a lot of them, to be honest, or any of them. To be honest, I just get busy.
No, well, I hear you.
And when I relax, it's like sometimes I just don't want to do that, or like I'd rather watch Unsolved Mysteries, that old TV show.
No, I remember that show. Absolutely.
But they have all the episodes on YouTube.
Do they really?
They do. Yeah, I started watching a little. I know.
Well, look, I do the same as you. I relax the brain. You have to, and just turn it off and watch.
Yeah.
But when I do watch stuff on YouTube, though, or whatever websites I'm going to, it's lately people like David Icke. People, I try not to watch the people that are saying the world's ending, 10 billion people, or you know what I mean. I try. Greg Mannarino, I do, because the guy is factual. He's very accurate, and his work to me is phenomenal. But I try to stay in. I don't know. There are so many, like you said, channels like saying 5G's being installed everywhere. The military's on the streets, and and I'm not saying that's not happening, but I don't see that, and I haven't talked to anybody that has told me that. From different states.
Well, fair enough. But the one I like, for example, one today that I shared was from A Plain Truth for You, and it's basically like they're installing in general. I mean, I'm not saying this is true with every school, but with some schools they are, or a lot of schools they're installing like 5G stuff. Mm-hmm. So, and that got some attention, which is good from people.
Don't get me wrong. I drove by the local schools here. I looked for it. When I saw that people were saying that too, I went and looked for it. But it doesn't mean they're not doing it at night. So no, there's tons of dastardly things going on. I just try not to because that's just kind of filling my head with, other things I can't control. Like, you know what I'm saying? I try to just, I don't know how to explain it. I try to stay in the right frame of mind, because
you're right.
I get annoyed at it, and I get mad at it. And, I get myself into and then there's nothing to really do with that energy right now. That's kind of why I've been making videos each day on my YouTube channel. I just started. I don't know.
Awesome.
Couple days I went off a little bit off the done. I'm like, fuck it, But some of them I'm trying.
I need to share your stuff.
Yeah, I had a couple of episodes where I was just like, "What are you doing?" But the past two, I was walking in nature, just trying to talk. But it's just a way of trying to, like you said, if it changes one fucking person's mind. If from this show, anything, just or make somebody feel better about what's going on, so that they can look in another direction and be either more prepared or more psychologically aware or spiritually, whatever it is. To me, if you're doing anything like that, then you're trying to make a difference in this outcome in a positive way, because, we're all kind of, I don't even want to fucking say it because it's these damn commercials. We're all in this together. Because there's these damn commercials going around saying that. Did you see that hashtag alone together? I don't know if you've seen that anywhere.
Oh, I think I might, but I know, right?
Puke. Alone together. Oh God, that's a social engineer's dream.
It is. The people at Tavistock and all their spider tendrils. They must have come up with. They must have come up with that over a few days.
Oh yeah, Madonna in the bathtub. We're all in this together. I didn't watch it.
I didn't.
No. Me, you saw it? You watched it?
No.
Okay. No, I couldn't. I saw it, and people, but I'm like, oh, I can't. No, I can't watch 1 second of that. I'll smash my phone. You know what I mean? I know my my limits. So
okay. Let me put this into perspective. Okay, last night on AEW Dynamite, Chris Jericho cut a promo against Matt Hardy's drone Vanguard 1. That is more watchable and more awesome than fucking Madonna in a bathtub.
Yeah, much better storyline.
Let's be honest.
Oh yeah.
Let's be honest. And we're talking about pro wrestling here. And I'm not throwing pro wrestling under the bus, but people say, "Oh, it's fake." But it's like, okay, would you rather have an awesome wrestler cut a fucking awesome promo against a fucking drone, and you'll be much more endlessly entertained, and it won't fucking waste your time as it would watching Madonna in a fucking bathtub.
Yeah, I don't. Because that was a thought. Who is watching this? Who is watching this? Her face is all pulled back. She looks like a distorted mummy. You know what I mean? Like, who the fuck is? Oh my God, Madonna's got a message for us. Madonna's here. Family, gather round. You know what I mean? Like, who the hell is doing that? Like,
I don't know. I don't know, God.
It's crazy.
Not sure I want to know.
Well, I mean, like you, Lisa, I had my Survivor last night. I don't watch. That's the only show I watch. I do find because, we get bored here. Like this morning, my daughter and her boyfriend and I had the Price is Right on, and I couldn't shut up during the whole goddamn thing. I'm just like, finally, they're like, all right, we're just going to turn it off. We can't watch it. I'm like, no, because, we don't watch TV in this house, and every commercial, Ford commercials talking about Corona, 6 months deferred payments if you got Corona. This fucking medicine commercial is talking, like, it's just one after another, and I'm like, I can't hear this. I can't. This has to go. You got to mute the commercial. You got to do something. I can't. I can't hear it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was. I think the only thing I really remember from last night, like they had there's a CDC ad about coronavirus during the wrestling show, and that was enough for me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh God, fuck.
I mean, the propaganda it's like a Saturday Night Live skit. Like you're it's almost like you're watching Saturday Night Live, and here's an exaggeration of propaganda making fun of a situation. Like you're gonna laugh at it. The commercials and the way they're doing it is so dumb and obvious, and not true. All these cases they talk about, presumed cases, presumed positive, and like I said, there's some kind of flu maybe going around, so you take all the people that have it and call them coronavirus, and, all the deaths, and, David Icke was explaining a lot of numbers too, like 80% of people that even get it, have mild to no symptoms. It's a flu. The people that are in most danger are, again, susceptible immune systems, pre-existing conditions, elderly people.
Older people, yeah.
Yeah, just like any flu,
Yeah.
It's there's nothing, no, I'm not saying but it's not a pandemic. And whatever's going on in Italy, I don't really know. I'm hearing a lot of people are being told coronavirus, and they're just going in for coughs and sniffles and regular stuff. But there could be something very diabolical going on there. Same in Iran, because these are political targets. For the economics.
And we do know that and I'm not saying I know the exact correlations between the physical symptoms and the different frequency waves /2/5G, but that's also a possibility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, for example, what Italy has done to piss off bankers or whatever, but to be honest, we obviously know what Iran has done to piss them off.
Right. Well, Italy similarly, economically, they stood up to their whole. Remember, they were in some shambles. They tried to attack them economically a few years ago, and they've kind of come out of it and sided with the SIP system and stuff like that. So anybody that's not doing what they want is a target. And it's we don't know except what we're being told, and they can exaggerate about all these countries, or it can be the truth, but it's certainly something diabolical and different if it is the truth than what's going on here and in Britain and, places where people are walking around going, what the fuck? Nothing going on here, nothing to see here. Please disperse. It's fucking, you ever see that Naked Gun? Please disperse. Nothing to see here.
Yes. I love Naked Gun. All the
greatest.
Even with O.J. Simpson in it.
Oh, yes, I agree. Oh, that's, what was his name? Nuremberg or whatever. What was his name?
Yeah. You're right.
Come on, greatest. You got me wanting to watch it now. I just.
You have time. Watch it, man.
I might. We were throwing my dinner down a half hour ago, and Spaceballs was on.
Oh yes, I love Spaceballs. Yay, Mel Brooks. Oh God, I love Mel Brooks. See, and people say like, Mel Brooks is the reason I can't be anti-Semitic. I just can't.
I love Mel Brooks.
How can I be anti-Semitic if Mel Brooks is a Jew and I love his stuff?
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
sorry, I can't be anti-Semitic.
It doesn't mean that all governments aren't involved in this, and you know what I mean. Just because if you point something out about the Israeli government doesn't mean it's the same. We point something out our own government doesn't mean we're anything. You know what I mean? It's you're absolutely right. Mel Brooks, first of all, History of the World Part 1 is one of the greatest movies ever written, and that
I need to watch that still. I know.
Oh, I love it, and it's full of humor. Where it's targeted, racism and egoism and just when we used to be able to be funny in this world and make fun of each other. Because it's funny. They don't make shit like that anymore.
Like Blazing Saddles.
Blazing Saddles, another one. I mean, it's just there's even the sitcoms we grew up on, Three's Company, all these Archie Bunker, all these different shows, the Jeffersons. You couldn't joke like that nowadays. People would just be, oh my God, what did he say? Boy, getting on Twitter, hey George Jefferson or Archie Bunker, you racist.
Real George Jefferson at real George Jefferson.
At real, you know what I mean? Moving on up.
With the blue check mark.
I cannot believe I'm appalled reporting your ass. Like people have just lost their minds nowadays. So I do notice, and I'm not trying to stereotype. That seems to be what I notice in public myself. The people that are most, if they work at a convenience store or in the food store, most, I don't want to use the word rude, but rude. They don't want to talk to you. They don't want to go near you. They barely want to interact with you. You can tell that they're scared, and the defense mechanism is then, anger, rudeness, whatever, impoliteness. You know what I mean? They don't want to get you away instinctively. And that's what I have noticed in my area. I would say anybody, and I'm kind of talking people in their 20s, 30s, some of the teenagers, I told you, they're not, that I see running around my daughter's crowd, they're not paying it much mind, but they're also not hanging out as much. They should be doing this game they're still playing with the water pistols, and a lot of people are not. So, it's a mix, you know what I mean, from what I'm seeing of people that, I guess I said it to my wife while we were out at the store the one day. We had to stop at 2 stores, and I wasn't going in the second grocery store. I'm like, so I can't do 2 of them. So she had to run in and get something. And I was watching people kind of come in and out, like I said, some of them with their masks and their elbows and I kind of just was like, all right, well, we can see in the world how many people sit and intake this mainstream media and don't read anything besides that, and I started to realize, the numbers. I saw maybe 4 people in masks out of 50 people that came in and out, so the ratio wasn't, too bad as far as, so, maybe the numbers aren't as bad as we think, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. And in my experience, I haven't really run into a whole bunch of people wearing masks. I mean, I've seen some people wearing gloves. I forgot but I mean, not if it's a store, we would be wearing gloves. Right. I mean, I get that.
Right.
But I've been at the grocery stores and the people who are doing the like the cashiers and stuff, they wouldn't be wearing masks, but they would be wearing gloves, and that's fine. And this, whatever. I mean, I used to clean restrooms all the time, so gloves is like, oh, whatever.
Oh yeah, I mean, look,
Like,
we've never thought about.
office.
Yeah, we never thought about germs. All the years I worked with kids, they were always sick. I had kids in my car constantly coughing. They were kids that were teenagers. So I wasn't riding around with the windows up, sanitizing my fucking truck every 2 minutes. I mentally told myself I ain't getting their germs, and I don't get sick, so much of it starts mentally, because then you stress, and then your stress wears down your immune system, and then it becomes more susceptible to, attacks of whatever. So much of it starts in your mind. If people could realize that, it's why this is a psychological attack. They want fear. So people's minds are going. And, and then their bodies break down, and then they're coughing and sniffling, and boom, up, you got corona, my corona, you know what I mean? That's what people around I won't rat them out, but people around certain places are singing, just to be like, my corona,
I know.
People are realizing it's just, come on, man, this is. But then, like I said, on the flip side, I have seen people across the way playing football in masks and gloves, So, but then my son was able to go over and play with a bunch of group of people that weren't, that were all just playing basketball. And they're, but all that stopped too, People kind of stopped. They closed it off over here. And now people still go, but you can't get into the pickleball, You can't, you know what I mean? The slide and stuff for the kids is all police tape, like a fucking,
crime scene.
Yeah, like a crime scene movie, like, you know what I mean? Like somebody was murdered.
Yeah, the SV, all the fucking police shows, like SVU, SCIS, or whatever. I don't know.
I'm waiting for them to dig Hoffa up from underneath of it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, big. But that's all, fear. That's what it is. I mean, if people wanted to go on the slide, the damn yellow tape is not in their way. You know what I mean? They can just move it and, but people see that and go, whoa, police line, do not cross, just like on CSI, So, I mean, look, I'm funny because, look, I smoke and I live with a cough my whole life from smoker's cough, you know what I mean? And you just, everywhere you go, like, you know what I mean? Like you find yourself, well, these signs, if you're sneezing, because they are on the buildings, when like the stores, if you're sneezing and coughing, you know what I mean, please stay away from people. And, so you're in there and all of a sudden I might have a smoker's cough and I'm like, man, do I really want to cough and make every fucking head turn around and look at me? And then I'm like, you know what, the hell with it, In fact, today I came out from getting my favorite frou-frou caffeine drink, and it has little whipped cream on the top, and it was coming out the top of the hole, So I was walking, and I slurped it down, and it went right down the wrong pipe. I started coughing, hacking, tears are coming out of my eyes. I started sneezing in the parking lot, and people all over the place. And I got in, I'm like, oh, I know that somebody did that to me on purpose on the other side. Somebody's pissing themselves, you know what I mean? Somebody that passed over or something, because it was just too perfect. Like I literally sat in the truck laughing at myself. I'm like, that must have been a scene and a half, because I was like, you know what I mean? Like, what's hard? Oh God! How many people ran home, sprayed themselves, and
got their eye baths ready?
Yeah, right. Eye wash. And,
like an eye bath. Like when you get like a dangerous chemical in your eyes. That's what it's called, an eye bath.
Yeah, we call it eye wash here so same thing. I got the eye wash station at the police department anyway. That's what
okay, yeah.
For now they use it for pepper spray and shit that we didn't really have until the last years of my career. We didn't carry any of that stuff. But it's what. And again, thank goodness I was in the parking lot and not the store when I slurped that thing down, because everybody might have ran for the back door of the store when I was, I was out by my truck.
Let us out.
Leper, stone him.
Guards, seize him.
Yeah, I mean, look, every movie, every historic, I mean, this is what we're coming up on if people allow it. I mean, it's literally right out of the Bible, the whole Barabbas story, where people chose what the evil government, offered them over the way, the truth, and the light. That whole allegorical story is about, the mob mentality choosing, government, the lie, the religion over, spirituality, truth, what is right. And, I see that happen through how many eras? The witching era, how many different times? Heretic, he's a heretic when you speak out against, like, getting that mob mentality to isolate people could easily be, if they're in fear mode, oh, he didn't get the vaccine, or he's not wearing a mask, or she didn't get her kids vaccinated. Like, and I just have a feeling that's, it works. It's worked all through history. Why wouldn't they try to do it again? And, if we do slide out of this as maybe this was a little trial run, what happens 6 months from now when they do it again? So, I mean, I personally think it's not. I think it's the transition into the new economic system, and, but this will never go away. This will change things forever, and vaccines are an end goal of this. So you're either going to have to say no, or you're going to have to choose Barabbas and, fear, the authority in man and get your vaccine, and that's why being awake spiritually is so important right now, if you ask me.
Yeah, and since people have more time, I can't even speak right now. Blah, blah. Mark Passio has his Streetway Spirituality, and that's a very good introduction to all that. Mm-hmm. Plus his New Age bullshit. He has two of them. There's a shorter one, and then there's an extended one. So if you have, if you like the really long, if you really like the really long ones, then
yeah. Well, I love Streetwise Spirituality. I've seen it several times. It's like 8 hours long or 7 hours long or something.
But now I have to take a look. Keep on talking.
Yeah, it is. It's a long one. In fact, when I drove to Florida a year or two ago, it was one of the ones I played for, I had heard it before, but I'm like, I think that one is so well done and so matter-of-factly stated. Like, you can't watch that. And in fact, if you remember, that was before I got booted off of Twitter, that was my pin tweet for years. Was that
it was?
Yeah, I couldn't bring myself to change it. I just felt it was that important for people to watch.
Well, technically, it's 6 hours 15.
What is it?
6 hours, 59 minutes, and 28 seconds.
God, I knew you were going to say something like that.
At least, at the UFO hub one. So.
Yes, yeah, that's the one that and he just released too the
sacred power, the sacred gift of anger. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I of course was there for that one, and it was just, it's now, understanding, well, what should I be getting angry at? What shouldn't I? And how powerful directed anger can be, and when righteously focused. It's a great one. Did you watch it yet or no? Did you see it before? Or?
Yeah, I have seen it before.
Yeah, because I had that one. I think I sent you.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing about Mark's stuff too, because basically you go to his website, whatonearthishappening.com, and there's a video for his, there's a tab for videos, and he has all of his videos out there for free, and he has it in zip form, all of the slides. So it's really cool. So if you want to just Instagram that up or Twitter up, it's he doesn't give a shit. He does, he wants to get that stuff spread. So it's not
he does. He puts everything out for free and holds back his newest one just for a small donation period. It's cutting me out. I can see my internet connection is unstable. There it goes. Now it's back.
Oh, it doesn't like us talking about Mark.
No, it picks and chooses. But yeah, he puts everything out for free and does just a small period of, donations for each one, but it all eventually comes out for free. And that one that we just talked about was actually broadcast live while it was being done from Anarchadelphia. If you remember, they had a live stream. That's the one I think you saw that I sent you.
Yeah, because I think you shared that one with me, and I didn't share it with anyone. But it doesn't matter.
No, it was a live. They were going to charge money for it, and then I think it just ended up becoming free. The link was live, and anybody could watch it. I mean, it was only there, and now he's got the better version with the slides, and you know how he does it.
Yeah, it's so awesome. It's so professional. You can tell he doesn't like. It's he gives a damn. I love that.
Yeah,
it's not sloppy.
No, and he's very knowledgeable when it comes to that, and he is very, he doesn't just leave stuff. He wants it right.
And people who are so into TED Talks, and I have watched a few TED Talks. So it's when they have slides and stuff. Mm-hmm. Mark's stuff is better than TED Talks.
Oh yeah.
Just saying. Oh, dropping the mic.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Dropping the mic.
Yeah, it's especially. I mean, even the way he got the whole new show to run, it runs like a presentation. Slides.
It does.
It's very well done, and that for me is the best way that I learn is by visuals, and I can listen to a 10-hour presentation like David Icke or whoever. Books take me a while to get through. I do get through them, but they have the extra information in there. You know what I mean? But I like those kinds of, especially when David Icke was doing his. You could get the presentation, and then you could get the book and build on it instead of. I get bad eyes sometimes. I get headaches, and then it takes you so long. Like I want to know. Not a 1 hour discussion on the book. He would do 10, 12 hours, and then you could read the book and really take it in. But his books are so damn long too.
They are.
It's hard because they're long, But again, now
and it's not like they really also have Audible,
No,
No,
and it's. I mean, the one book that I was really enjoying was Joe Dispenza's Breaking Habit, Being Yourself, and over the past few weeks. I haven't picked it up, but even that, it's just a couple pages a day. It's just that's all my eyes can handle. So it takes me a while when I'm reading. So I like to fill my head with the presentations as well. While I'm doing certain things, I kind of go in stages of who I'm looking at. You know what I mean? Who I'm studying, who I'm into, because you have to build that whole library of people. And a lot of them, I mean, even YouTube people that I'll watch, there's, if people could realize, like say you're a flat earther, you don't only have to watch flat earth videos. Speaking of Jamie, and I love Jamie, he put up Mark Passio's, it was like 45-minute clip. Did you see that? Well,
the
Occult Season of Sacrifice.
Yep. I saw that
from the radio show.
He does that. He does that a lot. He does every year.
And I could always kind of tell that Jamie, you can always tell when someone's has gone into Mark's work by the way that they end up speaking, because there's that whole part of Mark's work that it's an aha moment, but I stupidly read the comments, and people were like, oh, a globular guy on a flat earth channel, or what a hypocrisy. And I'm just like, oh my God, can people realize that the shape of the earth has nothing to do with our current slavery and the encroachment on freedoms,
And also let's take into consideration how many of those are real people, and that might have been real people who commented on that.
There was a lot of them.
At the same time, there's also bots. There's also government agents. There's also paid shills. There's also bots, AI. I don't know. I mean, it's the Wild West out there.
It's true, but it won't stop me from calling out to the flat earthers.
It could be a deep fake. I don't know.
Well, it won't stop me from calling out to the flat earthers too, because really, over this truth movement, there's been a lot of friction has built from that, and it's time for all that to go away. All those things can be figured out. It's time for everybody that understands what's really going on here to stop. Oh, you still believe in the globe? Oh, you still believe in the flat earth? All that shit. Look what's going on, everyone. We need to come together. We need to really love each other, and we need to be coming from, the correct solution to the problem, which is the destruction of human freedom, the destruction of human, privacy. I mean, all the things that they're trying to do, destruction of human health. I mean, all these things that they're doing, all that other shit. You got time, man. We got time to come together on that stuff. But. So, people may take it wrong when I say that. Well, then you're really not into freeing yourselves or anyone else. You're interested in just proving your damn little points. And sorry, I don't really have patience for people like that. I'll even sometimes speak, from a religious side when I talk, like to the Barabbas analogy or the Peter and Judas, because
because we're talking about allegories. We're talking about like, okay, we're not like, okay.
Right.
I've read books that contend that like Jesus was like an actual like political figure and it's interesting. I mean,
right. Well, look, I don't,
because I've learned like for example, like I've learned about like there's this like I learned more about Tiberius and different stuff about Roman history because I'm not a huge fan of Roman history, and then I asked my dad because he loves Roman history,
right?
And he's like, I don't get it, but that's okay.
Right. Well, there's a lot of similarities to today. I mean,
no, you're right, but it's like hey, Dad, I haven't heard of this guy, and it's like, oh yeah, I know about it. And he rattled off facts about. I was like, okay, thanks,
wow,
Dad.
That's really good though that he has that knowledge base. I mean,
oh, he's well, but look, like conventional history he's awesome, but yes,
I try not to, and I'm sure sometimes the way I say it comes across wrong, but I try not to divide those that believe it allegorically and symbolically to whether he was a historic person or whether he's the damn son of God, and you believe that. All of that doesn't matter if you understand the stories and the man's words and what's going on, because that's a big group of people, just like the flat earthers are a big group of people, just like the Trump and Q people are a big group of people. If everybody can realize, the main problem here, and everybody kind of just come together around that for now, all that other stuff, like I said, plenty of time, then I think would be a force to be reckoned with, and that also includes, the anarchist community and voluntarist community, and the Bitcoin and money aspect, all these people that see what's going on here, but have their ideas on, what's really going on or what we need to do to fix it, or just concentrate on the one thing we know, that they don't want us to be free and they want to control us all. Let's not let that happen.
And I guess like for me, like I how to put it, like, well, like even like especially so like with the whole run-ins with the AI and stuff like that, as we've documented, like I've always been interested in the whole like silent mind control and the whole like how people are subtly influenced, and that's something people really need to delve into now more than ever. I mean, like really, and
it's scary how many people they've gotten with this mentally. This farce.
Exactly, and the whole like because like frequent, like we're electromagnetic beings and we thoughts. Well, okay, like to like, the whole like law of attraction is like thoughts become things. It's like, and I'm not saying like I know what you mean. Marcus said, like the law of mentalism.
Yeah, everything starts in the mental realm. Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. The first hermetic principle, and like Jay Parker has said, like his mom, which is the I can't speak. The dark occultist.
Yeah.
Let's just put it like that.
Yeah.
The dark occultist. And she said, basically, the most important thing to the Illuminati is the collective subconscious or unconscious.
The collective conscious of humanity. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. The way that we think collectively. You're absolutely right. He has said that.
Yeah.
And that makes sense if you think about it. Because if they control that, they can steer the direction any way they want, and that's why this is so important, because really more people are obviously going for this than not, and they're missing what's really going on than not. And, the more this goes on, if supplies and trucks stop and the supply chain breaks down and these kind of things do happen, and people start reverting into that survival or complex behavior, and they're fed by their emotions, and they're not in a state of higher thinking and rational thinking, and it can get ugly. And we've all seen that movie, we've all read that book, we've all been taught that history lesson. Do we really need to go through that again?
No, we don't. We choose differently.
Exactly.
No. You see, that's the entire point. I mean, like, okay, we don't need to go through the whole obviously we need to face our mistakes, and we have to go through the rectifying of these mistakes. But at the same time, let's not add to it. Okay,
right.
Like, it's good to have the differentiation
Of course,
between the I, ego, and obviously the difference between collectivism and individualism. I mean, it's good to be an individual, but it's also good to see how your actions impact others.
Mm-hmm.
That's the middle path.
Mm-hmm.
You can't you can't be unbridled ego all the time and just
right. And not care that our society is based in, causing harm to one another, or ignoring that harm, or benefiting from that harm, or turning a blind eye to that harm. It grows and grows and grows. Listen, I'll say a very uncomfortable thing. If you are seeing military in our towns, or we start to see military really showing up and hitting choke points of roads, and we start to feel a bit of a police state, and the clones do turn to stormtroopers, we will be experiencing what we've done to other fucking countries during the past 20 years. And I'm a lot more than that, but the past 20 years of knowing that this is being done, and people just blowing it off since 9/11 and not caring. You don't get to live in a world where you ignore 9/11 and think that's not going to come back to bite you. It doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? You have to find out that this evil is taking place, and then not partake in it, or make different choices, like you said. And all these wars, Syria, Assad's gases, people, all this nonsense back and forth. It was terrible when Obama was doing it, but now that Trump's doing it, he's going after the deep state. All of these wars where we do this to other people as a nation in all of our names. This is what it's like, and it isn't right, and it's all petrodollar based and economically based, and it's got nothing to do with freedom or dictators or any shit like that,
And let's be even, exactly, 100%. And let's be more clear too, because a lot of the kids joining the military, they do it because they need the money for college, but do they really even need college?
Well, right.
Because people don't think about the alternatives. Well, if I don't go to college, I won't get this and that. Well, okay, I went to college and I graduated, which is good. Don't get me wrong, in general. Okay, I'm not saying just go there and don't think critically, but
right.
But
it could be what you make it,
Yeah, and I graduated for something that I was studying to be a high school history teacher, and I graduated with educational studies because when I was in student teaching, I found out that I had ADD, and I was diagnosed inattentive type. So whatever. But even though I'm paying really good attention nowadays, and I'm off my meds.
Yeah, because you're not bored to tears anymore. You're not learning something you don't give a shit about. You're not bored to tears anymore. You know what I mean? You're paying attention. Like I said, it's interesting how that does. I hear that happens a lot with the kids I used to work with. It would clear up once they got interested in something that they liked,
Well, to be honest, I wasn't really bored with most of my classes, to be fair.
No? What were you taking? Really. All kind of killer literature classes? And what were you taking?
Well, but even in school, I mean, okay, don't get me wrong. Science and math, that wasn't my most favorite subjects, but I wasn't totally flipping bored all the time.
Okay.
But of course, I loved history, obviously.
Right. Well, you have good teachers,
English,
obviously. That makes a difference. If you have good teachers and professors, that makes a difference.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
I had really good history professors.
Oh, that's spectacular. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That really is, because that doesn't happen a lot anymore. You know what I mean? But like you said, though, that they, that's just the way people are. That they want to go to college, but they don't really. Some of them just think they have to go to college because to get a good job, but they really don't even want to go to college. Like you said, you were interested in things. Some people aren't, but then, all right, well, if I join the military, then they'll, and look, I'll tell you how I was duped, and, I say it all the time, and it's how Mark even brings it up, I mean, you grow up, at least for me, it was that, whole superhero, wanting to do the right thing, I loved that as a kid, and as I got older into my adolescence and teenage years, that became cop dramas and shows like that, and they were the good guys, and same with the military, Platoon and movies like that really show you, whoa, this went on in Vietnam, and that's, you think that they're not really telling you this is how it is. People glorify that stuff in movies just like they do with cop shows. But when you get out there and you really see that's not what it is, too many people don't go, wait a fucking minute. This isn't, they just kind of go along with it because they're either too invested or they're afraid to, they got to follow orders, or, in the cop world, I got 7 years of my pension already, whatever it may be. And there comes a time when you do figure it out. Everyone does. And you got to step into that now because, we need them guys. We need the real courage that those guys had to put on a uniform and put their lives on the line. We need them to step into that and say, wait a minute, I'm not turning against my own people. I'm not, blindly accepting this as a pandemic when this makes no fucking sense.
And they don't need a fucking uniform to be a fucking hero. Let's just make this clear. Okay?
No one does. You're right.
You don't need a fucking costume to be.
You're right.
Okay. I mean, and I know it sounds cheesy as hell, but that's one good thing about Power Rangers. You don't have to morph to be a fucking hero. Okay.
But there's a point in that. You're right. It's not. There's a point in that to kids.
It
is. It's a kid's show. You just understand it like an adult. That's all.
Well, I do, and it's you don't have to And obviously, if I was writing stuff, I would write stuff different. I would have, adult stuff,
right? Morals and lessons, and kind of like Naruto is kind of that way. You know what I mean?
Naruto, yeah.
My son loves that show.
Yeah.
And I'm glad he does. I watched some of it. There's, it's got its pills, but it's mostly great teachings. You know what I mean? And most of the poison pills, they're not, they're knowable. You figure them out. They're not as hidden as Hollywood. There's a lot of great stuff that, kids can learn from by not gobbling up just the violence, But it takes, like you said, Lisa, your dad seemed to have been very well versed in certain histories and things that rubbed off on you in ways that became very positive. Parenting is a huge aspect of changing this world.
It is. It is.
Speaking of which, I only got about 5 minutes before my son's going to want his headphones back. I know I use that excuse a lot, but it's true. I got to get my own pair, but I like his. His are expensive. His are expensive, and they're really comfortable, and they, you know what I mean? I like this headset. I can't go buy a new one. I don't have the fucking money to go waste on that shit. He got this for Christmas 2 years ago.
Okay. So in summation. There's I'm gonna be a little bit hard on people. Okay, there's no excuse not to learn stuff, people. Okay, there's no excuse. There's many modalities that you guys can do it in. There's, kinesthetic. You can listen to Mark Passio while you are going to Anytime Fitness.
Yeah.
If they're still open, I have no idea. Or if you're walking to your Target or whatever, or your local health food store.
Driving. I used to listen to the show, driving, the radio show. I plug it in, listen while I'm driving,
And there's so many good books on Kindle. You could do Kindle. If you don't have a whole lot of space, you could. If you have the means to buy Kindle stuff, you can do it on Kindle or a Nook if you're the Barnes and Noble, Uber fan. Go ahead.
I just wanted to add, you just said, please. To in talking about Mark's work, if people really do take that advice and do begin, it'll change your life, number one. But so many people, as I refer to, end up in the failed Mark Passio class, the Mark Passio flunkies who failed the class and listened to only what they wanted to hear, and then either turn on him or turn on the information, and then, get out there, hey, he's a Satanist, look at the fucking eye in the triangle, all this nonsense stuff that if you're going to sit down, listen to what is being said and not your predetermined, ideas of what he's going to say, and open your mind, because it will connect so many dots across such a wide spectrum of what we're going through here. And you will begin to understand these maniacs in a way that no longer sets yourself up to be deceived and falling for this shit. You'll get it,
Your life will improve.
Yes,
Your life will improve. And you guys rejecting information just offhand, just because the presenter is not what you like, deal with it and all of that is emotional mind control, and you guys are being used and played.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. Okay,
It's the truth.
and you are getting duped and fooled by fake asses who don't give a flying fuck about you.
Nope.
They don't care. They are awesome pretenders, but they do not care about you. And I deal with this kind of fake assery every single fucking day for years. So I know what the fuck I am talking about. And I'm thinking about one particular person. And I have to deal with that every day, and I have to deal with the consequences of people not facing this person not being who she is every single fucking day. So you guys need to get over the fact that you are being emotionally mind controlled, and you guys are being mind controlled and used, and there's a real psychological war being waged for your soul and your minds, and get over it and learn about yourself.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, Lisa.
Bruce Lipton, Greg Braden,
Joe Dispenza,
Jay Parker. Just you guys, okay.
But it's interesting you say that though, Lisa, because most people, they project their own level of empathy or state of mind onto others, and they kind of think that that's how the world is until they get screwed over enough, and they're around enough psychopathic, me, egoic behavior for them to realize, that people do behave in ways that, aren't congruent to the way that they behave. And it seems obviously that comes with age and wisdom and experience, but, what you said is right. I've had the experience of being around similar people, and you can't believe how evil their minds can go to get what they want.
My internet connection is unstable.
Oh, of course.
My internet connection is unstable. Ooh.
No, but the level that people will go to get what they want, can sometimes be, so evil that,
it is.
Until you,
I don't care.
And you don't need to experience it to know that's real. Understand that people are that way, whether you've experienced it or not, and like you said, you've experienced it, I've experienced it. And there's people way worse than that, and they're running the world, and they're not interested in saving you.
They're not interested in love or letting people live the way they want to be lived, provided that they don't infringe on other people's natural law rights.
No, really.
They don't give a flying fuck about that, people.
We are the virus to their, plants. If you really, Trump's like, yeah, I'm at war against this virus. Yeah, he's told to say those words because they are at war. We're the, and again, people need to realize that a virus doesn't transmit in the air, and it's actually a part of the immune system that can clear out, disease and rebuild cells and fights things off too. And, there's so much that people just use this word virus, and they, but, we're the virus to their plans, and, we can really thwart the direction that this is going if enough people realize it, and they don't want that. So, the truth is a virus to them. They want to shut it up. They want to shut it down, but it needs to be spoken into existence. It needs to be acted upon. We are that truth that, are in this, again, I do bring up these religious aspects of it sometimes, but it's more of just a spiritual teaching that, we're supposed to do way more than Jesus ever did. The man said that. And creating heaven on earth doesn't come from a swoop of a hand of capturing all the bad guys and punishing them. And it doesn't come in
all the pedos in jail.
Yeah, and it doesn't come in the hereafter. I'm not saying the hereafter isn't wonderful and great, but you've come here now to stop a very horrific thing from happening. And all you got to do is step into yourself, into your power, and realize it. And my hope is always, look, you got to have hope. I know everybody's hope is low, but I have to have it, or why get out of bed, So, anyway, Lisa.
Exactly. I know you had to go, and I'll go too.
I know.
Because you're being so antisocial, and you're being social distancing from me. Come on, man.
Yeah, yes, right. We have to alone together. Hashtag alone together.
Alone together.
Fucking.
That sounds like a really bad romance novel.
Yeah, it sounds like a Saturday Night Live skit. Yes, exactly.
It's a really bad romance novel. It's not even a romance novel. It was so fast.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's true, and that's why people could see it instead of going, "Oh, that's right, we'll be alone." You know what I mean? Instead of falling for it emotionally and realize, alone together, what the fuck? It's all a perception, and people say perception is truth, and we know that that's not true, but unfortunately, people's perception is what is perceived as truth, and people need to realize there's only one truth. There's only one true thing going on here. Are we going to know all the details and fight over it all? No, but if we generally understand what's going on here, we can stop it. It's an attack on human freedom. It's an attack on the human spirit. It's an attack on, everything we come to know, the diversity, human interaction, love, like you said. Connection.
Intimacy.
And diversity as well. It's and yet it masks itself as all those things. It's very clever. And, we're here to wake up and stop that. That's why I believe we came. I certainly didn't come to run the Monopoly board,
Same here.
So anyway, Lisa, you have a great night.
You too, Tom.
If you talk to Sara, tell her, I missed her and we'll see her next week. And, give me a text if she, wants to do anything between now or you two between now.
Sounds good. Well, you have her number, so.
Yeah. Well, I don't. I think I have her email. I gave her my.
I'll text her.
Yeah, just
I'll text you the info. No worries.
What I'm saying is, if she's feeling better and she wants to do something before next Thursday, I'm up for it. If you're up for it, so
I will let her know. I'll text her that.
Sounds good. All righty. Bye, Lisa.
Bye, you guys.
See you later. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.